The 2026 World Cup ended 11 days ago. Spain lifted the trophy at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey on July 19th. Confetti fell. Champions celebrated. The first World Cup on American soil in 32 years wrapped up as a massive success. And now, less than 2 weeks later, the entire structure of international football might be collapsing because the UK Prime Minister just publicly condemned FIFA. The EU Sport Commissioner joined him. A former FIFA president called the current leadership deeply damaging, and UEFA, all 55 European nations, voted unanimously to boycott future World Cups. This isn't a slow-brewing controversy. This erupted in the past 72 hours, and it centers on one deal: FIFA's plan to sell a stake in the World Cup to American investors, with Joshua Kushner's firm leading the charge. Let's break down what just happened, why it matters, and what comes next. FIFA announced they want to sell up to a 20% minority stake in a new commercial entity called FIFA Forward Enterprise. The price tag? Approximately $20 billion. They're working with J.P. Morgan to raise $4.2 billion from private investors as part of this massive restructuring. The lead investor is Thrive Capital. That's Joshua Kushner's investment firm. And if that last name sounds familiar, it should. Joshua is the brother of Jared Kushner, who's married to Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump's daughter. The former president, current major political figure in American life, and someone whose name carries enormous weight internationally, especially in Europe. Now, to be clear, Joshua Kushner runs his own firm. He's made his own investments. He's politically donated to Democrats in the past. This isn't Jared. But in the eyes of European football authorities and politicians, the connection is impossible to ignore. The optics alone are explosive. And FIFA President Gianni Infantino, he's been photographed multiple times with Donald Trump during this World Cup cycle. They've appeared together at events. There's a documented relationship there. Whether that influenced this investment deal is speculation, but the perception is damaging enough on its own. Enter Andy Burnham. He became UK Prime Minister on July 20th, literally the day after the World Cup final. He's been in office for 11 days, and one of his first major public statements? Condemning FIFA's privatization plan. Burnham posted to X within the past 3 days, calling out the proposal to sell World Cup stakes to private investors. He didn't mince words. This wasn't diplomatic language. This was a sitting head of government publicly slamming the governing body of the world's most popular sport. Then Glenn Micallef, the EU Sport Commissioner, piled on. On July 29th, he stated that the relentless commercialization of football has become corrosive. That's not commentary from a pundit or a retired player. That's an official from the European Union's governing structure. And then came the knockout punch from Sepp Blatter. Blatter, the former FIFA president who himself left office under a cloud of corruption allegations, posted on X on July 28th. July 28th, his message: the Trump-Infantino relationship has reached a financial dimension that is deeply damaging football. Let that sink in. A former FIFA president, someone who knows exactly how FIFA operates from the inside, is publicly calling out the current leadership's relationship with Trump as financially damaging to the sport. That's not an outsider critique. That's someone from within the system sounding the alarm. But words are one thing, action is another. On July 30th, UEFA held a vote. All 55 member nations, every single European football federation, voted unanimously to boycott FIFA competitions, including the World Cup, if this investment plan proceeds. Unanimously. That means England, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, every major European football power agreed to walk away from the World Cup if FIFA moves forward with this deal. And it's not just Europe. CONCACAF, the North American Confederation that includes the United States, Mexico, and Canada, also rejected FIFA's plan on July 30th. So did the Asian Football Confederation. Think about that. The World Cup just finished in the United States. It was hosted across North America. And now CONCACAF is rejecting FIFA's investment structure. The Asian Confederation, representing massive markets like China, Japan, South Korea, and the Gulf states, is also pushing back. This isn't a Europe versus America narrative, even though that's how it's being framed in some quarters. This is a global pushback against FIFA's attempt to privatize revenue streams from the World Cup by selling stakes to investors. So why is this happening now? Why this deal and why this reaction? First, timing. FIFA floated this proposal right after a massively successful World Cup. The 2026 tournament generated enormous revenue. Attendance was strong. Viewership was high. FIFA's brand value is at a peak. That makes this the ideal moment to seek investment when your product looks most attractive to buyers. But from the perspective of national federations, this feels like FIFA is cashing out at their expense. Those federations develop players, run domestic leagues, and build football infrastructure in their countries. They see the World Cup as a collective asset, not something FIFA leadership can carve up and sell to private investors. Second, the investors themselves. Joshua Kushner's Thrive Capital isn't just any firm. The family connection to Trump creates immediate political complications. European politicians and football officials already had concerns about American commercialization of the sport. Adding a Kushner family investment with the Trump-Infantino relationship in the background makes this look less like a financial transaction and more like a political commercial alliance. Whether that's fair to Joshua Kushner individually is debatable, but perception drives these decisions, and the perception is toxic. Third, this taps into a deeper anxiety in European football circles that American-style sports business models are going to fundamentally change the sport. No promotion or relegation, franchise teams, revenue-driven decision-making over sporting merit. European fans and officials have watched American investors buy into European clubs and push for things like the failed Super League proposal. This FIFA deal feels like the next step in that process. And fourth, there's genuine concern about governance. FIFA has spent the past decade trying to rebuild its reputation after massive corruption scandals. Selling a stake in the World Cup to private investors raises questions about who will influence future decisions. Will host selection be purely sporting? Will qualification rules remain fair? Or will investor interests start shaping those choices? So what happens next? FIFA has a decision to make. Do they proceed with the investment plan and risk a boycott from Europe, North America, and Asia? Or do they back down and abandon a $20 billion deal? If UEFA follows through on its boycott threat, the World Cup as we know it is over. You cannot hold a legitimate World Cup without European nations. Spain just won the tournament. France won in 2018. Germany, Italy, England, these are foundational football nations. A World Cup without them is not a World Cup. It's a diminished competition that loses global legitimacy. But if FIFA backs down, they've just been publicly overruled by their own member federations, and Infantino's authority is undermined, the investment evaporates, and FIFA's financial strategy takes a massive hit. There's no clean way out of this, and in the middle of all this, the NFL international games start in September. American football expanding abroad, just as American investors are being accused of commercializing global football. The contrast, the tension, the competing visions of sports globalization, it's all about to collide in real time. This story broke within the past 72 hours. Andy Burnham's been prime minister for 11 days. The World Cup ended less than 2 weeks ago. And we're already talking about potential boycotts that could reshape the entire structure of international sports. This is the collision of politics, money, sports, and national identity happening at the highest level, and it's just getting started.